Welcome to the Scots Sports Show. I'm Drew Patrick, and I'm joined today by Gabe Hypes. Gabe, thank you for stepping in on the Scots Sports Show.
Thanks for having me, Drew.
Well, we will start this show the way we start every show, with the Edinburgh Scots of the Week. Let's start on the ladies' side. The female Scot of the Week is Sydney Trathan of the volleyball team. She totaled 125 assists in all three of Edinburgh's victories last week. This included a season-high 50 assists at Slippery Rock on Tuesday. She also tallied 15 kills, including 8 in their 5-set win over Clarion on Friday. Congratulations, Sydney Trathan, your female Scot of the Week.
The male Scot of the Week is Victor Hudson of the football team. He logged a pair of sacks and 1 interception and 6 tackles for 2.5 tackles for a loss for Edinburgh's 45-16 rout of Mercyhurst on Saturday. He also helped the Fighting Scots hold the Lakers to 6 second-half points and 229 yards of total offense.
Well, we'll have a great show for you. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back after this.
To compete for a championship in stadiums full with cheering fans and families. To give back. To say thank you for your support. To learn, grow, and prepare for the future. Ask any NCAA student athlete what they want, and this is what they'll tell you. Ask these student athletes, and they'll say with pride, I chose Division II.
The NCAA Division II student-athlete experience goes beyond the classrooms and playing fields. It means a commitment to service and community, helping organizations like the Make-A-Wish Foundation by raising money to help grant the wishes of children with life-threatening medical conditions. Kids like Jacob.
Some student-athletes gave of their time and their energy to raise the money.
It was fun to meet Jeff Gordon.
NCAA Division II, training student-athletes for lifelong achievement.
Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. We'll now talk football as we're joined by linebackers coach and kind of defensive coordinator Wayne Bradford. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So, Coach, you have a unique perspective. You were here last year as well as this year. And just seeing the turnaround in your guys, the personnel really hasn't changed, but what has?
Well, really the culture, the energy, the passion, the size of our staff, what Coach Lustig has infused, his personality. So I think it's just a combination of, our staff really being cohesive and Coach really getting his message across, which is, worry about the process, not the product. Grind every day, be passionate about what you do, and most importantly, have fun.
And do you see that in your individuals every day, the same individuals you coached last year?
Yeah, I do. I have a great group of linebackers. We're probably more veteran there, and so I've been with those guys, some of them 5 years, some of them 4, but they're having fun. They enjoy one another, and they really practice hard now. They understand how to practice and what it takes to be successful.
And Coach, the past couple of weeks, the defense has come up with a lot of interceptions. You had 4 last week and an interception in this game. Is there anything different you're doing in practice to make this defense go after the ball more?
No, we preach it every day. We do a turnover circuit every Sunday. We do a tackling circuit every Tuesday. And then every period that we go against, our offense, we're constantly telling them, hey, get the ball out, get the ball out. We've played a lot more zone coverage the last few weeks, so guys' eyes are on the quarterbacks now, and that gives them an opportunity to, get in front of the football and break on it and do some things from that standpoint.
Mercyhurst ran a very pro-style
Yes.
offense, but we faced a lot of spread offenses.
Mm-hmm.
How about is practicing against our offense, who's very fast and very quick, does that help you preparing for those types of offenses?
Absolutely. As you've noticed, our quarterback is as good as anyone in the country right now in spreading the ball around, and we probably have as good a group of wide receivers as anyone that we've faced, and we've got a couple of very good tailbacks, throwing a couple tight ends, so we're very skilled, and those guys, when you go against them every day, whether you're playing zone or man coverage, they challenge you.
And in the last 3 weeks, not only have we've been able to take the ball away, but also have held the team to about 17 points average
Yes.
the last couple weeks. And it started at the beginning of the year. We were in a lot of shootouts. What have you seen improve just from those weeks to now in the defense?
Well, I think a couple things. Number one, anytime you put together a new staff, so Coach Lustig, myself, Coach Neely, Coach Einhaus, and Coach Astorino, it's the first time you work together. So there are some growing pains. And getting on the same page and understanding each person's unique vocabulary and trying to put a system together. We had a system in the spring, but we had a coach leave. So obviously we began with some of those systems, and we've added some things and taken some things we've done in the past.
Now, in the beginning of the season, we were worried about the run defense and how we were going to stop the run for a lot of the games. And so the past couple of games, the biggest thing has been, can we stop this team's running? You've pretty much shut us up completely. I mean, what have you done in that aspect of stopping the run when we were kind of worried?
The last 3 weeks, obviously Clarion was unique. We kind of begged them to run because they didn't want to. So we played a lot of too high and kind of said, okay, run and be patient and do that, and they didn't want to. And obviously we scored and got them behind, and then we could let the guys loose on the pass. Gannon, our number one priority was to stop the run, and we did a tremendous job. We played 8 men in the box and dared the quarterbacks to beat us with their arms. Mercyhurst was really unique because as much as they were pro-style and in heavy formations, they like to throw the ball down the field. So they presented a unique challenge because of all the shifting and motions and different personnel groups that they've brought in. So, we had to stop number 5, and we didn't really. We just scored enough points to kind of get them out of that part of the game plan, but he was a very good back.
Yeah, and Mercyhurst had a freshman quarterback, and they kind of 3 quarterbacks were seen in that game due to injuries and other things. Is there a way to, obviously you don't want to prepare for a quarterback to be hurt, but is there a change in game plan when a new quarterback comes in?
There certainly could be. Mercyhurst, we knew a little bit about the second kid, Logan Weaver, because he's been in the league. He was at IUP. And actually, he was a young man I recruited a little bit out of high school. He started at Punxsutawney. He transferred to Indiana. He was more of an option kid in high school. But their system is such that, they want to play action pass, max protect, get the ball out quickly in the flat, or take some shots. So I don't think they have 2 separate offenses where you get the Clarion and the number 1 guy is going to throw the football and throw the football a lot. You get a backup in there, maybe you play a little more man coverage and do some things from that standpoint.
And this week it doesn't get any easier.
Nope.
We travel to Slippery Rock. They're coming off a loss. It's their homecoming. What do you have to do to control, there's going to be a lot of emotions there, that game. What do you have to say to control your guys? Well,
the first thing is you have to be passionate and play with emotion, but at the same time you have to have poise. It's a huge game. Because as much as you talk about Mercyhurst and Gannon being rivals, Slippery Rock's been a rival for maybe 50 years more than that. So this might be as intense and passionate, and tough as an opponent that we'll see. They don't like us. We frankly don't like them. So the thing is, you've got to have a fine line between, passion, frenzy, and being poised.
And that's something we've noticed throughout the year, that this team, there's not a lot of, for being as young as the team is, there's not a lot of those behavioral type penalties. And what does that say about just the staff and the players?
Well, I think it says a lot about Coach Lustig, and we've been very disciplined. I think we had 4 penalties on Saturday. They had 5. Week in and week out, I think we've won that part of the game. That's one of our goals, to have fewer penalties. So we have fun, we fly around, but we understand the impact of so-called foolish penalties, and it's a fine line too. If you got a guy that's running into the pile and inadvertently grabs a face mask, when he's going for the ball or something, that's different than hitting a guy out of bounds. And I think you've seen our guys have some control on the sideline. We talk about that all the time, and I think we do a good job in practice where if Jake's running around down the sideline, obviously we're not going to hit Jake, but we understand, what's right and what's wrong with those things.
So coming into this game, we know this is kind of a put up or shut up moment facing Slippery Rock. I think it will depend on where Edinboro stands in the rankings, because right now we are ranked second, obviously. What are you planning against this Slippery Rock team? Are you more worried about the passing, or are you more worried about the rushing?
Well, I think they're very balanced, and they're one of these teams that runs what people call the RPOs. So each run has a pass attached. Each pass has a run attached. So again, you got to play with great eye discipline, and you've got to read your keys and be locked in to what they're doing. They have a new quarterback, a kid they brought in the spring, new offensive coordinator. So they haven't been as potent as they've been in the past. They're up tempo. They haven't been as fast as they were. As you guys know, in the last couple of years, they were probably the fastest tempo team I've seen. But we got to be ready for up tempo. We got to be ready for them to try to establish the run. They want to be balanced. They want to try to keep us from being able to load the box and defend the run, or not load the box and play the pass.
And as one of the linebackers, Coach, you work with all the linebackers, and I just want to talk about Mike Shansky and him getting hurt last year, the first game of the year, and his turnaround. What have you seen in not only his leadership ability, but also the on-the-field transition with overcoming the injury?
Well, Mike is a very good player, and Mike was a good player before he got hurt. He was a two-time All-Conference. He was a preseason All-American. It really, knock on wood, was a blessing in disguise for him and us to get hurt early the way 2015 went. So to be able to get him back and have a kid who can run and change direction and kind of play recklessly is great. And he's kind of really a quiet kid. He doesn't say a lot. He just goes about and does his job, and doing some second undergraduate or graduate work. So working on the other aspect of his life, but it's been great to have him.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
joining us here.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks.
And the Scott Sports Show will roll along right after this. Don't go anywhere.
My experience at Perico has been so great. I feel like it's really my time for school now. I tried going back to school when I first graduated from high school. I just wasn't ready.
It's closer to home. It's very much more affordable than the other colleges in the city. When I finished my degree here at Perico, it would provide me with higher pay. I can actually grow more in my company than I would if I wasn't going to school.
Perico College, affordable, career-ready education.
We dig deep.
We overcome obstacles.
We come together.
We prepare.
We hit the ground running.
And we achieve our goals.
We train hard.
And we compete even harder.
We reach new heights.
We win.
And at Edinboro University, we create champions on and off the field.
Welcome back to the Scott Sports Show. We'll continue to talk football here as we are joined by tight end Nick Helmick and defensive end John Girvin. Thank you guys both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So this season, comparatively to last season, I've asked everyone who's come in here, what have you seen change in either the mindset or, because the personnel is pretty much the same, just what has changed for the team?
A lot of it, I think, has to do with the coaching. Last year on offense, we only had 2 to 3 coaches. This year we got like 5 or 6. We got one for every position. And then just Coach Lustig himself, he brings so much energy and he brings that extra little bit to the table that we didn't really have last year.
Enthusiasm is definitely one. Work ethic, and like he said, on the defensive side, it was really only Coach Bradford he was coaching all the positions, and he has a lot of help with Coach Lustig and Coach Neely. And Coach Einhels too, so it's pretty good.
You mentioned the enthusiasm that Coach Lustig brings. As a fan watching, I love the jumping up and dancing on the sidelines after a score, and I love the Braveheart drill, as I've been told what it's called, to start the second half. How do you guys feel about that? Because as a fan, I'm loving it.
Yeah, I love it. Like this past week when we blocked that punt, he looked like a little kid out there. He was jumping up and down, fist pumping. He lost his headset and didn't even care. He just kept on going. It's awesome just seeing that really, get you going.
The Braveheart, I think, is really cool because you got the other teams looking at you guys like, dang, those dudes are crazy over there. And And I think it gets in their head a little bit that we're that pumped up after halftime, after sitting down for like 30 minutes. So it's pretty cool.
So, John, you've had one of like the most strangest, for lack of a better term, transitions of when you got here to the position you're playing now. You came as a quarterback, and now you're trying to hunt down the quarterback.
Yeah.
What has that transition been like for you?
Well, it's actually a pretty cool transition. I like it a lot. It's definitely a bizarre transition. I mean, because I get asked at least twice a game, "Oh, didn't you used to play quarterback?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And everyone from where I'm from, they don't even know. Like, I didn't even know I played the end now, but now they're starting to know a little bit because I start the end now. So I like it. I actually like it a lot better. I'm learning a lot more about defensive end with a lot of help from Coach Neely, especially, and Coach Einhaus too. So.
Is it fun to hit the former position you played?
Yeah, it is actually. It definitely is, because I got hit a lot when I played, and now I can take it out on the other quarterbacks, which is pretty fun.
And Nick, the passing game, in the last couple of weeks, the tight ends have really been utilized in the passing game. So how important is to be able to be that dual threat, be able to block, but also be able to be a threat in the receiving game?
It's kind of great. Sisson hasn't been hit really any this season at all. And, we've been doing a lot of rollout stuff where I get to see off the edge for him, let him roll out and do his thing. And then receiving-wise, it's always fun to go out there and catch a couple passes, and especially when we're winning like the way we are.
So the Erie County Crown, I know Coach told me you didn't talk about it at all, but to know that you guys now are top of Erie County, Edinboro University, you beat Gannon, you beat Mercyhurst by huge scores. What does that feel to you to be Erie County champions?
Pretty good. Gannon, past couple years, my freshman, sophomore year, they got us pretty good. And last year, that last second, so it feels good to beat them. Same thing with Mercyhurst.
Yeah, ever since I played here, as a starter, I've never beat Gannon or Mercyhurst, and it was cool to beat them this year. It was about time we did it.
Yeah.
So now we turn our attentions to Slippery Rock. They're a tough team. They're probably an angry team. They got blown out last week. It's their homecoming. There's a lot of emotions going on. What do you guys have to do to calm yourself and realize that you have to play a game and ignore everything that's happening there?
Yeah, just like what you said, we just have to block everything out. We played a couple homecoming games as it is already. Just go through our normal week like it is and go there Saturday and do what we've been doing.
Yeah, we have to have a good week of practice, be mentally sharp. And I don't think the big crowd is going to affect us because we had the biggest crowd again in our homecoming. So I don't think the crowd's going to be a factor. We just got to go out there and play our game and be smart about it.
So I'll start on the defensive side with you, John. They have a very good running back on that team and a new offensive coordinator, but it's still the same look for Slippery Rock. What do you see from that group, and what do you guys have to do?
We got to be gap sound, definitely. With all play our assignment. I think we'll get it done. We got a lot of good leaders on the defense and a lot of good seniors like Josh Kibbe, Vic Hudson, Mike Shansky, and Austin Meats. So I think they're going to lead us a good way. So.
And on the offensive side, again, like I mentioned, they were upset about getting torn up last week. And so what have you seen from their defense, and what do you expect to do offensively?
Their front line's pretty good. We're going to look to get after them like we have been through the air with our receivers. Alex, Jordan, Tanaz stepping up big as a freshman. Just get out that way. And then once we start doing that, let Fletcher run like he's been running too, give him his touches.
And now, every coach we have in here talks about how you guys react and how you guys react to penalties. And I think every single game so far this year, you guys have been great about the penalties. Is that something you guys discuss in practice about being smart?
Yeah, just being very disciplined. That's one of our goals every week, to be penalty free. So we strive to achieve that every week.
I think what also helps is we do a lot of situational stuff in practice, and we talk about it. And we didn't do that in the past, and I think that's helped us out a lot. We talk about all that type of stuff, and I think that definitely helped us in the long run so far.
Now, John, you touched on it for the defense, but the senior leadership for this team, this is a very young team all the way around. So how important, and what have you seen from the seniors like yourself who have been working with the younger players?
It's really good right now from this what the seniors are doing. They're leading us into the right path for next year. I don't even really want to talk about next year so we have a really good football team right now, but it's good that we're doing this good right now because it's showing us freshmen, sophomores, and juniors that next year we can even be better. And I'm just excited.
And on the offensive side, what do you see from those?
Yeah, same thing. You know, we're mostly underclassmen, juniors on the offensive side, except for a few myself, Harden, Tavius, and Jordan. So they have a lot to build on for the next year. So that's really what they're looking at.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the Scott Sports Show, and we wish you the very best against them.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And the Scott Sports Show, not over yet. It'll continue right after this. Don't go anywhere.
NCAA Division II has much to cheer about, as nearly 100,000 student athletes compete with passion and pride. And I'm pleased to share the best news of all. Student athletes are outperforming the rest of the D2 student body in graduation rates. Just another reason why you'll hear us say with pride, I chose Division II. Learn more at d2sa.org.
Welcome back to the Scott Sports Show. Now let's talk some swimming here as we're joined by head coach Chris Rhodes and a member of the men's team, Luke Fredrick. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start. We've officially, I guess, started winter sports. I mean, you kind of have like that in-between season, but it was a match at Clarion. It didn't go as well as we would have hoped, but what did you see from your team?
They raced well. You know, being at the beginning of the season, you kind of never know what you're going to get. We have a young team, and so one thing I was looking for is how are they going to race, and they did a great job. We had some great times, had a number of people qualify for the conference meet already, so for me it was a very successful meet. You know, score-wise, you know, the guys ended up on the wrong end, but you know, the guys did a great job racing, great job supporting one another, so it was a good meet.
And for you individually, Luke, how do you feel it went for you?
My events, I think I put them together pretty well. Good times.
And you know, you mentioned that close unit that the team has, but I mean, I guess you guys and cross country and track are really the only teams that get to intermingle male and female. How do you feel that chemistry with not only your guys' team, but also the men and the women's team are?
It makes it interesting sometimes, definitely, but I like having them around. It adds a good concept to the team. We mesh well, I think.
And Coach, do you see that too? Is it easier to coach with having them work so close together?
Absolutely. You know, guys and, you know, I mean, men and women are different, you know, and I think that they can kind of feed off each other with their good qualities as well as their bad, and I think that if somebody is having a bad day, you know, there's someone else there to pick them up. Instead of worrying about what people are saying or doing, you know, it's definitely a family, definitely a good tight team, and to me that's important.
Now, Luke, this is kind of directed towards you specifically. Now, I hear you guys have the 5 a.m. practices. How do you feel about that?
Well, they're 6 a.m. But
6 a.m.
Yeah, but we get up 5:30. I mean, that's one thing you kind of deal with. It's definitely the worst part of the whole program. But it's something you deal with. It's something every swimmer does, and you get used to it.
Yeah, you guys really have a full schedule. I mean, when you're not in the pool, you're thinking about being in the pool.
Yeah.
And Coach, this week, it's a busy week. We have a non-conference meet and then a meet later on. What do you expect from these two matchups?
What's great about the Westminster meet, it's a relay meet. So we can just put one relay in each event. And so it really kind of bonds the team well. Something completely different than they're used to doing, but they're getting up and racing. And to me, that's what's important, especially in the beginning of the years. I want to see them race. Having a meet the next day is great for me as a coach, because then I can see whether or not the training's working and how they're going to respond and that type of thing. And especially going against IUP, which they've always been a good team. So we're going to have to get up and race well against them. So I think it's going to be a great learning experience, especially for our freshmen, and bring out some good leadership qualities out of our upperclassmen.
Now, what unique challenges come with the back-to-back, and how do you prepare as a coach and as a swimmer? All right.
Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I mean, our conference meets a 3 or 4 day meet, so definitely having back-to-back meets is beneficial, I think, in training for that. The way you prepare for it is really just recovering as best you can that Friday night to be prepared to race well on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the training aspect. Being able to give them the proper rest that they need to be able to come back. We do a lot of different things, whether it be with stretching or nutrition, getting some rest. One of the reasons why we go so early is they need to be able to compete at a high level on very little rest. That's just the sport that we're in. So for them, this allows that kind of to happen, if you will. In regards to the conference meet, prelim finals, it's very important that we get up and have to swim fast in the morning. So having the meet Friday night and then turning around having the meet early afternoon, that's going to kind of mimic the best that we can right now to be able to do that, to get prepared for that.
And so, Coach, what are your overall goals for these two meets?
Continue to do what we're doing, to race well, clean up our swims a little bit, as far as some little things that we're doing that I think we need to do a better job with. But I think, again, it's going to give us a great indicator where we are, how we are doing as a team, and kind of look forward to when we have that rest phase of our season where we're going to swim fast.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the Scott Sports Show.
Very welcome.
The very best. The Scott Sports Show rolls along right after this. Don't go anywhere.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up? Oh, we finally bought a place. Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on... Is it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
That about does it here for this show. But before we go, let's take a look at what is upcoming for Edinboro this week. That's a lot of away matches there, Gabe, but you can check the Edinboro football game against Slippery Rock. That is on 88.9 WFSE on Saturday. You don't want to miss that. Again, I want to say thank you, Gabe, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me again, Drew.
Thank you all so much for watching, and we hope you have a great day. To stay up to date on all things Edinboro athletics, go to GoFightingScots.com or EdinboroNow.com. Thank you for watching.